Welcome, everybody, to this brief and final art talk going over cognitive psychology. Understanding cognitive psychology, even a little bit, will enhance your website design, and also just it will give you a greater understanding to the way that we think in everyday life. Okay. And it's particularly important in website design because it will help you intentionally create websites that are clear and easy to navigate and that users want to come back to. Okay. So, understanding the basics of how the human mind interacts with digital products to create more effective designs. So, cognitive psychology in website design is the understanding of the basics of how the human mind interacts with digital products to create more effective designs. So, there's a saying that user experience doesn't happen on a screen, it happens in the mind. Okay, and that quote comes from Dan Benoni. So, when we think about understanding cognitive psychology for product design, there are a few things to consider. Cognitive psychology first studies how people think, make decisions, and process information. If we adapt designs, our website designs, to match our thought processes and consider how our brain functions when we interact with the digital products, okay? So everything that we interact with online has been incredibly thought out through the understanding of cognitive psychology. So one of the big things that website designers consider when they're developing websites is this concept, this abstract concept of the duality of human thinking. Okay. Duality of human thinking has system 1 and system 2. This drives human decision making and behavior. Okay, so this is the driver of human decision making and behavior. So in order to really hook somebody into your product or into your website, it's really important to understand these abstract concepts. So system 1 is the intuitive, lightning fast, and almost reflective mode of thinking. Snap judgments, mental shortcuts to process information with. That's what we use, and we use it without even realizing it. For example, when we approach a green light at a stoplight or at a green light, we know that we don't have to stop. We can just go. It's just intuitive. We already know it. Then we have system 2. System 2 is more deliberate, analytical, and more of a ponderous thinker. It kicks in when we face complex problems or need to make weighty decisions, like a thoughtful scientist carefully weighing the pros and the cons. So why is it important to know the two? Every interaction a user has with a digital product is essentially an interplay between the two systems of thinking. When designing web design with a smooth, intuitive flow that makes users feel in control, that's going to create your best product design. Because if a user encounters a complex problem, then System 2 comes into play. So there must be clear and well-structured information and guidance. Okay, so we like to live in System 1 as this image demonstrates. However, if we do have to kick in our rational thinking, our more complex thoughts, they have to be, it has to be clear and concise, because System 2 is actually rather lazy and relies a lot on System 1 to do most of the work on like the everyday. So when System 2 does kick in, it needs to be very clear and concise and get to the point very quickly, okay? Otherwise, it can create frustration, and that is something we do not want. So as designers, our main goal is to orchestrate this delicate interplay between System 1, intuition and instinct, and system 2, rational thinking. Okay? So system 1 is unconscious, fast, associative, and automatic pilot. System 2 takes effort, it's slow, it's logical, it's lazy, and it's indecisive. Interfaces with swift, intuitive experience. Interfaces with swift, intuitive experiences that users crave while also providing the depth and clarity that System 2 demands when necessary. Okay? Those are the best interfaces. So interfaces that have swift, intuitive experiences, but also provide depth and clarity when System 2 it is necessary. Okay? And all of this art talk is coming directly from the reading that I really want you to actually read. This is just a brief synopsis. There's so much more information in there. So understanding how people think and make decisions allows us to align design with the human psyche. So let's talk about System 1 and System 2 thinking. So System 1, we've already talked about, is fast and intuitive, okay? System 1 loves instant gratification and is impatient to be rewarded. There's a book by Nir Eyal titled Hooked, How to Build Habit-Forming Products. This author explains how designers can tap into System 1 thinking and create habit loops in their products. So we really have to think about this in a real-life perspective. When we log on to social media or the internet, designers are intentionally trying to create habit loops so we come back, okay? Notifications are a great example in social media. It's a prompt to get you to check your account. It triggers a good feeling when you receive likes or comments, and that is a reward response, a reward of the tribe. The product is connecting the user to a community or group, and the group is responding positively. And it gives a sense of social belonging and recognition within the community, okay? So it's very much Pavlovian. So there are some practical tips for using System 1 in product design. So practical tips are clear and familiar design. Okay, we want things that look like everything else. We don't want to, for the general populace, we don't want things to be too personalized for one group. Okay, we want to keep it very general. Okay, the Google landing page is a great example. It's just a plain white page with a search bar. It's very, very clear. Okay, that way anybody knows how to use it and is not frustrated when using it. Visual hierarchy. This is really, really important. The size and visual weight, color, placement, iconography, and imagery. Okay, so visual hierarchy is really, really important in product design for System 1 thinking. Progressive disclosure, and that means putting information in digestible chunks. We don't want to give all the information up front all at once because that is just too much. We want to section things out in digestible chunks. And then micro interactions, which are subtle animations and sometimes feedback. Okay, these subtle animations, when you like hovering over a box and the box moves, these play on the System 1 thinking. It's intuitive, and it's giving a reward response. Okay. Then we have System 2, which is deliberate and analytical thinking. So the System 2 takes effort and conscious attention. The system in play when making a challenging decision or like solving a riddle or a puzzle. System 2 is quite lazy and doesn't like to be bothered unless really necessary. That segues into the practical tips for a System 2. It must be clear in complex tasks. Okay, we don't want anything to be muddled, too much information. We want everything to be very clear with the complex tasks that need to be performed. Transparent feedback. Information accessibility. error prevention and recovery, guidance, especially for more complex actions or decisions. So there's a delicate balance that a designer utilizes when creating a website because they are considering both System 1 and System 2. Then we can get into these concepts like the halo effect. And that is, people often form a general impression of something or someone based on a single positive attribute or characteristic. So a smooth initial experience with an app or a website is most likely going to give a positive overall impression of the product, okay? And then there's Miller's Law. Miller's Law suggests that people can only retain 7, give or take, 2, so 7 plus or minus 2 pieces of information in their memory at one time. So we don't want to overload people. That's why we have to create things in digestible chunks. The next concept is loss aversion. And it's this concept that we tend to dislike losing or giving up what we already have, even if there is a potential to gain more, okay? Then we have loss aversion, then we have the IKEA effect. Pardon me, guys. And IKEA effect is a cognitive bias that describes the phenomenon where individuals tend to place a higher value on products they have actively participated in creating or assembling themselves. For example, product customization, user engagement, and user feedback, okay? There's also a concept called design fatigue. When we are presented with an overwhelming number of choices, we can experience design fatigue, okay? So we want to reduce the cognitive load for seamless user experiences. Cognitive load is the mental effort required to process information. So we always want to keep it simple. Simplify the decision-making process for your viewers. Really think about, visualize every viewer, every person coming from different backgrounds and how they would approach your website or your app or your product. Okay, we want to keep it simple. We want to simplify that decision-making process. We want progressive disclosure. We don't want to give up the entire story at once. We want to reveal it step by step. We want to stick to consistent patterns. And by consistent patterns, I not only mean consistent patterns within our website, but I also mean generalized consistent patterns, okay? We want our websites to kind of have a similarity to other successful websites. And we want to offer contextual help. So emotional engagement is at the heart of product design. Nir Eyal writes, by understanding what drives users emotionally, designers can strategically implement triggers that encourage repeated use. We have this idea of flow. And flow is the state of being fully immersed and engaged in an activity. Okay? So we want that. We want our viewers to have this continuous flow. Okay, so in conclusion, combining cognitive psychology and design is a potent way to create interfaces that not only fulfill surface-level user requirements, but also engage and inspire users on a deeply human level. Effective product design is a continuous process of learning and adaptation. So that means we're always learning. We're always trying to make our websites better, our apps better, our products better. Okay, so it's important to listen to feedback. It's important to always keep things updated. Okay, so I want to end this with the quote by Dan Benoni. User experience doesn't happen on a screen. It happens in the mind. Okay. So all of this information was taken directly from Designing for User Behavior, How to Use Cognitive Psychology in Digital Product Design by Nara Pogos. Okay? So I really appreciate your guys' time. I'm really going to miss these art talks. I hope you guys have an amazing summer. And I just want to say thank you so much for a great semester. All right, guys. Bye.